Stop a moment and reflect. Have you been thinking why, even working so much, money never seems to be left? Why do some people strive early until late, but keep living in the tightness, while others, not always the smartest or talented, sometimes even lazy, see your money grow without apparent effort? What is the secret behind it? The answer is simpler than it seems, and my grandfather already taught me. If you want to understand why some get rich and others remain poor, don't look at how much they earn, but what they do with every penny. This idea, though basic, reveals a deep truth. Many people believe that poverty is fate or that wealth depends on luck, but after decades of life, I can say, most of the time, poverty is the result of repeated habits and misconceptions, as if the person dropped his own financial grave. And the most curious thing is that these mistakes are just for, but it is enough to keep someone stuck in the shortage for years. I saw brilliant people live in misery. I met talented artisans with worse conditions than those who do nothing, and I also witnessed ordinary people, without large gifts, thriving simply because they understood these four slips and avoided them. Imagine two neighbors who work in the same factory with similar wages. One spends his life complaining, the government is bad, the boss is petty, life is unfair. The other keeps a little every month, thinks about how to make this money yield, and doesn't care about appearances. 10 years later, the first one still wears the same suit and continues to complain. The second already has a property, helped the children, and, above all, lives with tranquility. Now tell me, who is wiser? Who is happier? You may think this is fairy tale. In real life, it doesn't work that way, but it works. And it happens around you every day. You just don't see it because you are used to repeating the same mistakes, thinking that there is no alternative. I will be straightforward. If you spend everything you earn, you will remain poor. If you live to impress others, you will remain poor. If you get debts for things that do not generate return, they will remain poor. And if you are afraid to learn about money, you will remain poor. But words are not enough. I need to show how each of these mistakes acts, how they disguise them in daily life, and especially how to avoid them. I will share stories of my life, friends, students, and acquaintances who have stumbled into them, and how poverty is not a condemnation, but the result of wrong choices. And choices can be changed. Here is the crucial detail. Most people prefer to complain to take responsibility. It's easier to say I was born poor, I have no chance, than to ask, what am I doing with the money I already have? I do not promise you will be a millionaire after this text, but I guarantee one thing. If you pay attention and try to change your relationship with money, in a year you will see your life with other eyes. And in 10 years, maybe you are the neighbor that everyone will watch with admiration. How did he get it? After all, we started the same. Now pay attention. The four financial traps that imprison most people. Let's look at them one by one. And maybe this is the most important conversation you've ever heard about money. The first trap: spend everything you win. It is the most common error. The person receives the salary and, before realizing it, has already emptied him in purchases, dinners, or distractions. It has empty hands until the next remuneration. I remember an acquaintance who always said, saving for what? Money is to spend. Today we are alive, tomorrow who knows? It has passed 20 years. As I kept a little every month, even little, he was squandering everything. Today, there is no home of their own, no reservations, nor how to help their children, survives retirement, and complains about life. What is the difference between us? I didn't spend everything. There is a wise saying: those who do not know how to keep the little will never have much. It doesn't matter if it's a tenth or fifth of what you get, always set aside, even if it seems insignificant. It is like planting seeds. If you eat all, you will have nothing to sow next season. The second trap: debts for pleasure. Nothing is more dangerous than borrowing to buy something you don't need, just to sport. A more expensive cell phone than the neighbor, a trip financed with money that does not have. The joy is momentary, but the account arrives and always hurts more. I met a young man who made a financing to buy a car and impress his girlfriend. 6 months later, she left him. The car was along with the installments. Years passed. He still pays for the mistake of wanting to look like what was not. Remember, debt is like an ego painkiller, but a collar for freedom. If what you are buying will not generate income, do not buy the credit. A machine to work is investment. A car to show status is a shortcut to ruin. The third trap: ignore financial learning. Many people are afraid to understand how money works. This is not for me. I'm bad with numbers, they say, and continue to repeat the same standards as their parents. But the times have changed. In my youth, I learned that everyone should know how to tell not just the gains, but the spending, and to think about tomorrow. Those who do not learn from money learn from poverty, because money is a severe teacher who reveals his mistakes, but only if you are willing to hear. I remember reading an economy book as a young man. I didn't understand almost anything. It seemed boring, but I forced myself to continue. Since then, every year I learned something new about savings, investments, and how to make money work. Today, even on mobile, you have access to all the knowledge of the world. But what do people do? Watch series, roll others when they could. In 6 months, dominate basics of finance and turn their lives. The four. Trap living to please others. Perhaps the most painful. The person works not for himself or for his family, but for the neighbors to applaud them. Buy clothes you can't afford. Rent an expensive car for a wedding just for envy. The worst is that, in the end, no one cares. The neighbor looks and forgets, while you get the debt. Money is a tool, not a trophy. Who uses it to buy freedom builds wealth. Who uses it to buy approval builds chains. The choice is yours. The debts will be with you. In my youth, there was a man in our community who always wore the most elegant suits and gave luxurious parties for everyone to see how rich he was. When he died, it turned out that everything was in credit. To the table where he sat was bought in installments. His children spent years paying for the beautiful life he took. But there was another man with simple clothes and modest house. When he left, his children found an inheritance, a house, money, and tranquility. I ask, who was really rich? Keep this wisdom. The opinion of others does not fill your plate. Words do not put food in your refrigerator, but your debts will be with you alone. Advice after the mistakes. My dear ones. These four flaws are like four walls that imprison man in poverty. You can say, but it's so hard to change. I'm used to spending everything, showing I'm not worse than others. And I answer, only the first 6 months are difficult. Then it becomes a habit. Start small. Keep at least 5% of what you earn. Never borrow for something that does not generate income. Read at least one book a year about money. This already puts it ahead of 90% of people. Life to you and your family, not to the eyes of others. Believe me, if you take these steps, and your life will be different. Don't expect miracles. Money does not fall from the sky. He goes to those who respect and know how to manage it. I observed people all my life and understood poverty is not lack of money. It is lack of habits, and habits can be changed. Recap the four traps. 1. Spending everything you win. Who eats all the seeds does not reap anything. Want freedom? Start saving, even if little. 2. Debts for pleasure. Credit is not present. It is handcuff. Only borrow if it is for something that will bring return. 3. Ignoring financial education. Money likes intelligent owners. Learning is not luxury. It is a need. 4. Living for the opinion of others. Your neighbors will forget your expensive purchase in a week, but debt and emptiness will be with you. These are the four walls of poverty. Imagine, if you take one, open a window. Take 2, a door comes up. Turn down all, and you will be free. My experience and a final advice. I don't speak like a teacher or banker, but as someone who saw poverty destroy families. I saw fights for money to turn friends into enemies, parents unable to help their children for not knowing how to manage a coin. But I also saw simple people, without diplomas or contacts, thrive because they live wisely. I remember a family in our community. They were not rich. They lived with modesty, but his father kept something every month. A ruble, 5 rubles, mattered. When their children grew up, each one had a beginning, studies, helps with housing, because the father didn't think about what the neighbor would say. I thought about tomorrow. This is wealth of truth, giving your children more than you had. Now tell me, don't you want your children and grandchildren to live better, without debt, not to mention coins until the next salary? It all starts with you, with today's decision. A story with a touch of Jewish humor. A man went to the rabbi and said, Reb, I'm poor. I have no money. What did the rabbi ask? Do you keep something every day? No. I barely have enough! And study. Read about money? No. I don't have time. I work without stopping. So tell me, do you want money for your neighbors to envy? The man hesitated. Well, yes. The rabbi sighed. My son, your problem is not a lack of money. It is lack of judgment. Funny but deep. Poverty begins in the head, not in the pocket. The invitation to act. Today. Now, you can decide. Store a small part of what you earn. Stop financing nonsense. Choose a book or finance course live for you, not to others. 4 steps. That will not make you a millionaire tomorrow, but will change your way. In a year, you will wonder, why didn't I start before? And this is just the beginning. There is a Jewish saying, who knows how to keep a coin will be able to keep a ruble. I want to share more stories, secrets, and lessons that turn lives. Subscribe to the channel. Activate the bell, not for numbers, but because each video can be the push you needed. I will share with you wisdom, experience, and paths. If you hear, you will see results. The final idea. Wealth is not a golden chest. And sleep quietly. Without debt, know that tomorrow is guaranteed. Being able to help those who love be free. And freedom is the greatest treasure a man can have. So, my dears, take the first step. Today, tomorrow, you will already be living a different life. M.